Hello and welcome to another training session with Dear Ones. Today's training is about what high quality teaching will look like in our classrooms. Everything we'll discuss is aligned with Texas Rising Star, NAC accreditation, and Texas licensing with CLI Engage curriculum. These are not separate expectations, they overlap and work together to support children, teachers, and families. Some of the things might be repeated from our orientation, but we're actually going in depth in this presentation for you. By the end of the session, you will clearly understand what is expected of you as a teacher every day in your classroom, not just during monitoring or visits, but throughout your career with DearOnes. So today we'll be covering in this presentation TRS, NAC, and licensing standards, effective parent communication strategies, establishing a classroom routine consistent and being prepared when arriving to work, implementing the CLI Engage curriculum effectively. Classroom addendums would be supervision, interaction, and support for each children in your classroom. Marijuana and other substances as a reminder and program responsibilities towards it. Expectations or employees who are also parents. So if you are a parent employee, we will be covering the details for you. Personal belongings and classroom safety expectations. Gossiping. Oh my gosh. Yes, we're going to be discussing gossiping, professional and legal boundaries attached to that, the responsibility factors on your part that comes with that, and then the parent-staff boundaries and no gossiping with them. And then obviously at the end, conclusion. Overview of TRS, NAC, and Texas licensing standards in childcare. What is Texas Rising Star? It is a program, which is a government-funded program, and is quality reading system designed to elevate early childhood education standards across Texas. TRS requires providers, which is us, to demonstrate compliance in staff qualifications, curriculum implementations, learning environment quality, and parent engagement. In simplest English form, I can say that they are actually to make sure that we're doing our job and be there available to assist us, to train us, to coach us on how-tos. Important metrics include teacher credentials, class size ratios, and adherence to curriculum standards that support developmental milestone. TRS accreditation is often linked to better child outcomes and can influence funding eligibility. From my personal experience, I will tell you from the day one when I opened my childcare and now that we are Texas Rising Star certified school, I can see a day and night difference. We want to make sure that we continue this, and here's why we're doing a training session for you today. Let's discuss NAC, which is the National Accreditation Commission, which sets rigorous standards. So they're a little bit more stricter than TRS. They want everything done in writing and documented. Its standards focus on comprehensive program quality, includes safety, health, curriculum, teacher qualifications, and family engagement. Pretty much everything that TRS says that we need to do. They just want to enhance that even further a step. Compliance with NAC standards will ensure that our classroom will meet nationally recognized benchmarks for our childhood education. And research shows that schools accredited by NAC actually exhibit higher levels of child readiness and family satisfaction. Let's discuss the Texas State Licensing Guidelines, which mandates the specific educational, credentials, background checks, ongoing professional development, which is your trainings, and compliance with safety and health regulations. The state emphasizes continuous staff training and adherence to child care ratios to maintain license validity. Licensing ensures a regulated environment for child safety and quality instruction, forming a legal foundation for provider operations. Effective parent communication strategies would be our next session that we're going to cover in this training today. Although I do want to add a little bit of common sense into it, that it is expected that all of our employees speak to our parents, visitors, licensing, TRS, all the mentors, the staff, with respect, courteous, and promptly. They have all right to their privacy, so please make sure you're not gossiping and or spreading rumors about anyone at any time. When communicating with a parent regarding their child's negative behavior, you are required to give them 3 positives along with the negative. It should never look like that you're coming at their child. You are bashing them, you're insulting them, and you actually are not in favor of their growth. You also should not be diagnosing their child for them, technically saying, well, I really think your child has ADHD. Well, you will be asked to prove your PhD then, if not anything else in degree wise, because no one has the right to diagnose a child, and you're breaking a lot of laws here. So we want to make sure that you are aware of what to do and not to do via these trainings. Methods for regular parent updates would be weekly newsletters, which you're supposed to send a weekly message for each individual child rather than a group message to the parents, letting them know of how their child is doing in the classroom. If there's any struggle area or main focus area that you're working on, this is something that we're required to do per TRS as well as NAC. You can also update them of any items that you might be needing in the classroom for the child that may help them with their development. The digital app update would be our Brightwheel app that we are to use on as needed basis, which includes the child's diapers, potty, feeding, meals, any items that you need, their learning, the pictures, the incidents, all 9 yards. It has everything. And make sure that you're filling that information out, you're logging that information as it is taking place. Okay. Try to not include any other child's picture within that picture for that one particular parent for privacy reasons. Know your children who are not eligible to have any pictures taken by their parents should be in your red folder on the wall. Parent-teacher conferences would be also another way to do an update. I don't think majority of our teachers even know that this is something your director can arrange for you. If you are having some concerns with a parent and or a child in your classroom for their better development, you can connect with your director to ask them to arrange for a conference with the parents in their office. The daily reports, like I said, Brightwheel would be one way to do. Whenever the power internet's not working, we're going to go old school, baby. We're going to go ahead and use those paper logs. So just be prepared mentally and make sure your parents are aware of that can happen, okay? Regular communication with parent will increase our engagement and support the children's development. And these methods will include all the parents with all the child's needs and all the other communication via messages as well. Involving parents in classroom activities. Well, first of all, the parents are allowed per licensing and actually asked to come and visit you unannounced. They can come in, they can stay with their child, observe your classroom, your ways of teaching, and all of that. Whenever we would have activities, obviously then they would all be welcome. So for example, grandparents bingo, be ready to entertain not just the children, but the grandparents as well. Know how to include your parents and don't just have them sit there. Know that they are there to volunteer as well. So ask them to help. They can't change the diapers for you, so don't go extra, but they can help you assist in maybe passing out, say, treats or something, or read a storybook and whatnot. This will help with the parent involvement. It will improve the children's learning outcomes and foster the social skills development effectively, and also create a parent-teacher relationship. The ways to involve are to have them volunteer, to participate in the special event, and contribute to classroom projects and donations. Engagement fosters community, improves trust, and encourages consistent support between home and school environments. Handling concerns and feedback constructively. All right, active listening and having empathy, please. Effective feedback handling depends on active listening and empathy to understand concerns thoroughly. If you are not active listeners, you don't even know what the problem is, what their concerns are, then you can't even help, you can even address. And then having empathy will put you in their spot and understand from their point of view so you can better help and assist them and improve yourself, to be honest with you, if it is part on our end that we need to, properly be more trained on. Clearly communication channels will also help. Clear communication channels enable timely and transparent responses, preventing misunderstandings or escalation. Like, for example, one of the parent, if they're not seeing that when the diaper's changed, when the child has napped or the child is fed, the exact time, that can throw the whole daily log off. And to us, well, we logged in, but to the parent, that doesn't match with what I have received. That doesn't match with what the schedule has been provided to them for my child to care for. So therefore, there's a lot of discrepancy, and therefore I don't trust the school, the teacher that is providing care for my child. So your communication has to be clear, it has to be the point, and then it has to be on timely manner. The positive feedback loops in classroom will strengthen teacher-parent relationship and improve classroom climate. Be a teacher that does not run away from a upset parent. Be the teacher that knows the rules, the policies, the rights. Be the teacher that is willing to change, adapt, and be teachable. Be the teacher that knows how to respect others in all circumstances. If there is a parent that is being loud, that is being obnoxious, that is being all sorts of ugly way with you, I need you to remain calm. But this is where I'm not abandoning you. This is where I'm having your back because you're going to let the management take care of the rest for you. Excuse yourself, walk away. Only and only handle it constructively, positively, with empathy. I can clearly see you're upset, so give me 1 second. Let me get someone else to help you with this. And then just walk away. Do not wait for that response. Unless you have children present in the classroom, then use your intercom to ask someone else to come. First of all of these conversations shouldn't even be happening while you are with the children. That's where I would say, looks like we need to sit down and have a conversation. Is I have to get back to my class. Is there any way you can meet with the directors in front and let them know that you would like to have a sit down meeting or conference with us? And have the conversation cut short. Know how to handle those situations. And if you have come across something, talk to your director. Hey, I just had this parent unpleasant conversation with him, and I wanted to see how else can I address it better. These are the questions that's going to improve you and prepare you for those days when actually you don't know how to handle it. So let your director know. We're happy to share. We're happy to take on that hard parent off your back so you can go back in your classroom and do what you're good at. You doing your job in your classroom will help us do the rest for you. We got your back as long as you're doing your job. Establishing classroom routines, consistency, and preparedness. When setting daily routines for students and maintaining consistency in classroom management, planning, and a teacher being prepared for lessons and transitions, it makes everything go smooth and flow as it is planned. Establishing classroom routines, consistency, and preparedness. The purpose of this slide is to discuss how our classrooms feel to children every single day. When routines are clear, expectations are consistent, and teachers are prepared for their classroom, the children will feel automatically safe and learning will happen naturally. Now, how would you say that setting daily routines for students work? Well, routines are not just a schedule on the wall. It needs to be utilized, it needs to be explained, and it needs to be consistent with. They are the predictable patterns that help children understand what comes next. You can do a timer. Now, for toddlers yesterday, for example, I was in the classroom observing. I said, don't say 5 minutes. They don't know how long is 5 minutes. So how about I'm going to count to 5 or I'm going to count to 10 and then we're going to go outside and clean up. All right. So instead of just sitting there giving them a number, you're actually 1. Now, however the gap might be, that is up to the teacher depending on what she's got going on. Maybe she needs a little bit more time. 2, 3. And then as the 10 comes, 10 is about to come. Let's go start cleaning up. And then you know that your children, they've got the plenty of warning. They know they got to wrap it up. So you mentally prepared them first before their action did. Children thrive on predictability. Let them know how to predict what's to come. And that's what I just did by counting 1 to 10 for my toddlers. It reduces their anxiety because they know what's going to come up, right? Builds emotional security. It'll kind of like limit those meltdowns. Supports self-control and regulation. When routines are consistent, children will spend less time wandering around and more time learning. Morning arrivals happens the same way every day. Student knows that they need to come, they need to put their belongings away, they need to wash their hands, and then maybe they need to go sit at the assigned table and chair. They need to work with the materials available to them as tabletops just for that morning brief, and then the breakfast will happen. So that is a plan. That is something that they know is their routine. Now transition when they're announced, okay, all right, we're about to have breakfast. We're going to count to 1 to 10. Let's everybody clean up your tabletops or move from the tabletop table to the dining table area in the classroom. And then that would prepare them automatically for that. TRS, NAC, and licensing, they all expect that all classroom to operate smoothly and safely, and a teacher is in charge, basically in control of the classroom, which includes your students, not just the materials, at all times. Consistent routines will help you also meet the ratio requirements and supervision expectations and developmental needs of each children in your class. Let's talk about consistency here. Consistency, let me say this right. Consistency does not mean being strict. It means you're fair. Rules are going to be same for every child. Don't you dare have that favorite child of yours in the classroom that is allowed to do everything and anything, okay? You're starting something there. Expectations don't change based on your mood or child's mood, stress, or who is watching. As long as you're being professional and calm and nice and respectful to the children, it is okay to carry on with the schedule and be consistent with it. Children know what behavior is expected and what happens when expectations are not met. So if you allow that child to continue to play with that material instead of getting ready for going outside, that is not what's going to happen. That is not what is being consistent, okay? Classroom rules are taught. They are modeled by the teacher every day in the classroom and referenced daily. Talk about those classroom rules. How many of you have just posted that on the wall but have never once talked about it? That should be gone over at least 3 to 4 times a day till the classroom has really mastered it. And whenever a child kind of like forgets, like for example, if somebody's running in the classroom, I would say, everybody help me remind my friend John here, what are the classroom rules? Let's go over it. Listening ears, hands to yourself, be nice, and walking feet, whatever that might be. Teachers use the same language for redirection. We use walking feet indoors. Hands are for helping, not hurting. Consequences are calm and predictable, not reactive. TRS and NAC connection would say observers are not just watching children, which is you here, teachers, okay? They're watching how adults respond. So consistency show intentional teaching and professionalism. So when these assessors are coming, what do you think they're coming in for? They're coming to watch you. How are you treating these children? How are you teaching them? They're not coming to see how you're changing their diaper. They're coming to see how are you a teacher? How are you teaching? Okay? How to plan and be prepared for lesson and transitions. Preparation is invisible when it is done well. You need to have time management in your schedule. It is possible, but you're going to have to really spend time in making that happen for you. But it is also immediately noticeable when it's missing out of your routine. So a prepared teacher shines and thrives, and you can see it from the miles that teacher is prepared, okay? Lesson plans are to be thought out ahead of time, a week prior in advance, aligned with your assigned age group developmental goals, flexible for children's needs. Materials are ready before the lesson plan begins. Teachers anticipate transitions instead of reacting to chaos. And centers are set up before the children even enter the classroom in the morning. Okay, during nap time, you can do the same thing. What comes after snack? What to do if an activity ends early? You need to be prepared. Are you going to do songs, visual timers, clear directions, or visual games? CLI Engage will support you and help you prepare any of those curriculum lesson plan needs. It understands what skills to target and how to measure progress and will guide you, such as it also has a virtual training available to you to master that skill. And when teachers know the goal, planning becomes purposeful. Okay. Routine gives children security. Consistency will build the trust, and preparedness will create the learning opportunities for your children in your classroom. Then you as a teacher, all you have to do is reinforce on a daily basis, and it's all you have to do. These are not optional expectations by all means. Just know that these are daily practices that support quality, compliance, and better outcomes for children and is a requirement. Maintaining consistency in classroom management. Consistency in classroom management is one of the strongest indicators of high quality classrooms. It affects children's behavior, emotional security, and learning every single day in a very positive way when followed correctly. Consistency starts with clear rules and expectations, which should be laid out to them on a daily basis because of the age group we work with. Children should know what is expected of them on a daily basis. As soon as the cutoff time happens, remind them of all the rules and expectations of them in the classroom. And throughout the day, a little reminders would go a long way because they are so young and probably often forget. Explain the why. Young children would also need explicit guidance. They need to know why you're doing that. They're curious. When rules are clear, children will feel safe, expectations feel fair, and behavior will also improve naturally. For example, if one teacher allows running in their classroom because she don't care or simply she's tired, can't give her 100%, whatever the excuse might be, and the other teacher corrects them when she comes into the classroom, they get confused. They don't know what is right. But when everyone says it, the teachers are all on the same page. It is more successful then. We use walking feet, and children will learn faster. DRS, NAC, and licensing all expect classrooms to be predictable and well managed by the staff. Clear expectations will help you demonstrate intentional teaching in your classroom. Inconsistency often leads to power struggles and behavior challenges among children. So if I want to explain that clearly, children will maybe test your limits more than when expectations changes. So for example, if you go outside 10 o'clock every day, but today it's bad weather and you're not going outside, you will have some behavior challenges. They will argue, have tantrums, peer conflict, and they're basically an unhappy classroom. If a child knows the response will be calm and predictable every time, they are less likely to push boundaries. Consistency will remove the emotions from discipline and replaces it with teaching instead. When children understand expectations, they spend less time being corrected by their teacher and more time engaging with them in learning. Predictable management keeps the lessons moving, reduces downtime, increases participation. Children feel confident to participate because they know the rules. In a consistent classroom, teachers aren't constantly redirecting. They're actually teaching. And that's when you actually fully will enjoy your classroom. You're going to have to teach them and set that expectation before expecting that. Consistency is not about being strict in your classroom. It's about leading them with examples, modeling it, reminding it, and setting those expectations. It is about being clear, fair, and predictable. When classroom management is consistent, children will feel secure, their behaviors will improve, and learning will increase because you're doing everything right. You're maintaining that consistency in your classroom. Planning and being prepared for lessons and transitions in your classroom. As the teachers, even as a human being, if you want to be successful at anything and everything, just plan and be prepared for whatever the situation might be, and you will come through. So in this slide, we'll focus on what strong classroom would look like every day, and when routines are clear, expectations are consistent, and teachers are prepared, children will feel safe and learning will improve and you will enjoy it thoroughly. So the routines, daily routines, which is that physical schedule that's on your wall, which you, by the way, can edit, change around as long as you keep your management in loop. Daily routines give children structure. Go over that physical schedule. Let them know what is to come next. Point it out, show it to them, go over it with them. So if they have any questions, they can also look at the physical schedule that is there for them to begin with, that this is what's to come next. Hey, what is next? When do we go outside? It's there for them. Before we go outside, we have to make sure we all go potty first. Okay, all right, let me go potty first. So the daily routines will give children structure, and when they know what to expect, they feel secure and are more ready to learn. A quick example would be arrival, transitions, and cleanup should look the same every day. They come, put their stuff away, wash their hands, sit down on the tabletops that's already prepared and ready by the teacher on the table for them. Consistency, which means expectations are the same for every child and every adult in that room. Let your floaters know, let your assistant teachers know this is what's expected of them. You're not micromanaging them, but laying out that expectation for them so you know that they are on the board and same page with you. So therefore, they can also make sure that consistency flows in that classroom regardless of the lead being present or not. Should that not work by any chance, let your management know and they will take it from there. Prepared teachers prevent problems when lessons and transitions are planned. There's less downtime and fewer behavior issues. Make sure materials are ready. Make sure your shelves are ready. Try to switch the materials around to make it fun and exciting for them, because if you give them repeated shelf items, they're going to get bored. And teachers should know what to do next. So if you're working on shape square, then the next shape should be circle, and you will have activities around that. When routines are predictable, expectations are consistent, and teachers are prepared, classroom will run smoothly and children will succeed. You don't have to pause. Oh, wait, let me go grab my scissors. Oh, wait, where are they? If you want, we can go more in depth and ask your management for any question and concerns, but being prepared, whatever material you need, know that we're all as a team. Communication is the key, and we follow open door policy for just that. Implementing CLI Engage curriculum effectively. Understanding the components of CLI Engage, adapting the curriculum for diverse learners, assessing and supporting student progress is what will be covered in this session of the presentation. Now let's take a moment to understand the key components of the CLI Engage Circle curriculum. This curriculum is designed to give teachers everything they need for high quality instructions to their classrooms, fully aligned with the Texas guidelines and the Head Start early learning outcomes. The curriculum is built around three major parts. First, the scope and sequence. This is the primary roadmap for instructions. It includes 35 weeks of lessons that builds skills in a clear progression throughout the school year. Lesson covers whole groups, small group literacy, phonological awareness, vocabulary, math, science, etc. And then second would be the theme guides. There are 10 theme guides which will help teachers build background knowledge and language through meaningful, engaging themes. These guides work alongside the scope sequence to support weekly planning. Third, the activity collection. Each part of the curriculum links to the Circle activity collection and hundreds of high-quality research-based lessons available online. Many lessons include videos of teachers demonstrating these activities, teacher tips, scaffolds for differentiating instructions based on children's needs. Together, these components ensure balanced instructions, combining teacher-directed lessons with child-initiated learning and playful, purposeful experience throughout the day. Once done right, being prepared, being consistent, this will all align to have a better learning environment in your classroom. Adapting curriculum for diverse learners. All right, team, let's pause then and think about the children in our classroom. How many of you would you say that no two children in your classroom will learn the same way that you are teaching, correct? That is why we adapt with our curriculum. It's not optional, it's essential. When we talked about adapting curriculum, we're simply talking about meeting with children where they are, because some don't even know how 1, 2, 3 works or ABC works. Some, they know it all. Some can't even sit down and focus on just about anything. Key concepts to highlight, I would say, is adapting the curriculum that can look like 3 things. Adjusting the how, changing how you deliver your lesson for each individual child, using visuals, hands-on tools, gestures, repetition, giving children more time, give them a little bit of examples, model it for them, adjust the what, modify the difficulty of activities, breaking the steps into smaller parts for them so they can understand, providing them choices or alternative tasks if they don't want to work with that. And then adjust your support, offer scaffolding, pairing peers together. And for example, for this one, I had this one child who couldn't put the math puzzles, which is just simple numbers, just you have to put them in row, and there it's a puzzle, so you can't even go by the shape as well, but just completely refuses to put it back together. They dump it on the table and then they want to dump it on top of the board and just put it away. When asked to put it back together, they gave up. Another friend actually helped her out finish that, and I ended up giving her kudos and letting the parents know that she, out of her own will, decided to do a good deed with her friends, helping her, which not only enhanced her skills again, but also gave that friend of hers time to sit with that puzzle and take more interest, because now a peer one, her friend, a classmate, is helping her with it rather than a teacher. Giving sentence starters, picture cards, or prompts would also be helpful to support them. Sitting closer to a child who needs help would also help them. Let's try something. Imagine you're introducing a new vocabulary word like a habitat. So you have a child who learns best visually, then you have a child who needs movement, and a child who needs repetition, and then a child who is learning English, right? How could we teach the same word in 4 different ways? Something to discuss about. Adapting the curriculum does not mean lowering expectation. It means raising access. Every child gets what they need so they can participate, connect, and thrive. Assessing and supporting student progress through formative summative assessments, which CLI Engage gives us the built-in assessment tools that aligns directly with curriculum goals, online curriculum, and the assessment platform. That means the data we collect isn't random, and it tells us exactly how well the students are progressing in the skills that your curriculum is teaching them in the classroom. Because everything is integrated, we can quickly see the patterns, strengths, and areas where students need extra support. And as a requirement, we do also have evidence of learning in their assessment for TRS, NAC, as well as licensing, and when that parent has a question. Impact of progress monitoring. When we monitor progress systematically, we make better instructional decisions and significantly improve the student outcomes. It allows us to step in early with timely and targeted interventions before a small gap becomes a big one for these children. Classroom addendums, supervision, interaction, and support. Ensuring proper supervision and safety, positive teacher-child interactions, providing individualized support and accommodation is what we will be covering in this session. By law, we are all required, not just a suggestion, but we're required to know the whereabouts of our children, how many children we have in our care, in your classroom, what is the oldest and youngest of age, and how they're getting hurt. As much as we are all aware that we cannot prevent every single incident, but we are to know how they got hurt. So for that, ensuring proper supervision and safety becomes a very big deal in your classroom and outside and or wherever the children might be in the school. So you're absolutely right when it comes to supervision standard. It is not just a best practice, it is required by the licensing, and it is our first line of defense in keeping the children safe at all times. When we follow the standards consistently, we reduce the risk, prevent accidents, and maintain compliance with state regulations. And this will also help with proper ratios and monitoring, okay? Not everybody will understand the ratios. Not everybody knows the ratio, but know where are your resources to get those questions answered. Accidents do happen fast when ratios are not maintained or when monitoring isn't active. Proper adult-to-child ratios and continuous scanning of the environment will also make a huge difference in your classrooms or even outside. Always look for things that might be hazardous for the children. Those plugs that are not having any cover or missing covers. Even shifting your position in a room also matters. Having your back towards them for any period of time, and make sure that you're always able to see, hear, and respond to every child whenever they are having some sort of behavior issue and or need your help and assistance with something to prevent having any incident. Environmental safety checklist will also help you, where supervision also means supervising the environment. And what is one safety check that you can automatically think when you enter your classroom or the playground? Regular safety checks will help you eliminate those. Inspecting equipment, looking for tipping hazards, checking your gates, removing unsafe items, broken baskets, toys, choking hazards, help create accident-free spaces in your classroom, outside, all across the school. These checks should happen before, during, and after the activities. Impact of consistent supervision. Consistent supervision equals to fewer injuries. Studies in early childhood settings consistently show that strong, attentive supervision leads to significantly lower injury rates. So every time you reposition yourself, scan the area, stay engaged with the children, interactive, maintaining your ratios, you're actually actively preventing injuries before they happen. So ask that question to yourself, how you and your management can help keep these children safe. All right then. In this section, we're going to focus on one of the most powerful parts of our work, positive teacher and child interactions. These interactions are not just nice to have, they are the foundation of children's emotional security, learning, and long-term development. Every moment we spend with a child is shaping their brain, their confidence, and their sense of belonging. Fostering the social emotional growth in your classrooms. So for example, let's start with a social emotional development, okay? Children learn how to manage emotions, build relationships, and feel safe through the way you interact with them on a daily basis. When you greet them warmly, you get down to their eye level, use that gentle tones, and you show that genuine interest that when they're speaking to you. You matter. You're safe. I see you. That is what you are giving them in that moment. These small moments will build trust, and trust is what allows children to explore, take risks, and engage confidently in that classroom of yours. Without that emotional foundation, learning simply doesn't happen, and then we wonder, they're not listening. Well, lay that foundation for them first. Encouragement and engagement. We always hear, no, don't do that, stop, sit down. We don't hear much of the encouragement and engagement from teachers. So next time in your classroom, let's talk about the encouragement, which is a different from praise, okay? Praise focuses on the outcome when they have done something good. Good job. Thank you for cleaning up after yourself. Where encouragement focuses on the effort. You worked very hard. Great. When we use encouragement, we help children develop intrinsic motivation. They start to try new things because they want to learn and not because they want approval. Responsive communication, like acknowledging their ideas, asking following up questions, and showing excitement about their discoveries, increases that engagement. Children will stay curious, they stay involved, and they feel proud of their contributions, whether it's 10% or 100%. Supporting language and cognition. High quality interactions directly support their language and cognitive development. Every time when we narrate that, what are we doing? Introduce new vocabulary, ask open-ended questions, or extend a child's idea, we're building their brain. Every way you're interacting, everything that you're doing around them is actually helping them build their brain. This is why we need to be positively interacting and teaching and behaving around them. For example, instead of what color is this? Try, tell me about what do you see? What are you noticing here? Instead of giving answers, we give children time to think, reason, and express themselves. These interactions will also strengthen their vocabulary, problem solving, memory, and overall cognitive growth. So when we talk about positive teacher-child interaction, we're talking about the heart of our work. These interactions will shape how children will feel, how they learn, and how they see themselves in the world. Every smile, every conversation, every moment of patience, it all matters. And when we're all intentional as a teacher, warm and responsive, we are together creating a classroom where children will learn, thrive socially, emotionally, and academically. In this section, we're focusing on how we ensure every child has full access to learning, providing individualized support and accommodations. It is a reflection of our values. It's just not a requirement. Children come to us with different strengths, different needs, and different developmental pathways, and our job is to meet them where they are and give them what they need to succeed and grow. Ensuring full access, individualized accommodation will allow all children, including those with developmental differences or disabilities, to fully participate in the classroom. As a teacher, I understand at times you're like, I can't do it, I have to try. At least put your effort. Practice is what's going to make you a better teacher, better performer in your classroom. Don't give up. Don't just think of excuses of how you can get out of it. Try is all we're asking. This means we're not expecting every child to fit into one mold. Instead, we adjust the environment, the expectations, and the support so each child can access learning in a meaningful way. When we do this well, children will feel included, capable, and confident. They experience success because the learning is accessible to them. Now, say tailored support strategies would be like individualized support that can look very different from child to child. It might include modified instruction or simplified steps, visual supports or hand-on materials, assistive technology, sensory tools in your classroom, behavioral support plans, quiet area, for example, adjusted pacing or expectations. These are the key that support are intentional and tailored to the child's specific needs. We're not giving extra help, we're giving the right help. Research consistently shows that when children receive personalized accommodation, their engagement do increase and their confidence grows, and their learning outcomes improve. Personalization also strengthens inclusive. Children will feel like they belong because the environment is designed with their needs in mind. When we individualize support, we're not just helping a child get through the day, we're building long-term skills for them, independence, a positive relationship with learning. So as we think about individualized support in our classrooms, remember, it is not about doing more in your classroom. It's about doing what's developmentally appropriate and responsive in your classroom. When we tailor our approach, we honor each child's unique journey and ensure they have full access to the rich learning environment that we create together. We talked about compliance, we talked about consistency, we talked about curriculum, we talked about accommodation, interaction, and support for our children. And we even talked about positive interaction in your classroom with certain individual accommodation that we can make. Let's talk about what we're not supposed to do to make sure that these children stay healthy. So all of that we're actually implementing in our classrooms becomes successful for us, okay? In this section, we'll be reviewing our obligations under childcare licensing when it comes to marijuana and other substances. These are the state-regulated health and safety requirements that protect children and ensure our program will remain in compliance. Licensing is very clear, and to be honest with you, I have a very strong sensory issue, so I would call it my benefit too at times. So I can smell the substance, and therefore I also have allergies because of that. So staff may not use, possess, or be under influence of marijuana, tobacco, alcohol, or any other impairing substances while responsible for children. Even though marijuana law varies across the US, but early childhood setting remains highly regulated. So it don't matter you're approved for it or not. Do not do it at the childcare. Do not come with the substance in your body. Most states still restrict marijuana in childcare environments because of the safety risk and the vulnerability of the children we serve. Staff must never be under the influence of anything that could impair their judgment. You need to be always confident enough of what you're doing in your classroom to protect and keep these child safe in your classroom. Reaction time or supervision. Research shows that marijuana intoxication can affect a person's motor skills, slow reaction time, impact memory, and increase the risk of accidents. In a childcare setting, when supervision must be constant, immediate, and responsive, any level of impairment is a serious safety concern. Don't think that we can't smell or we don't know it. We will find out eventually, and we can call the legal authorities on you. Every state does have its own rule, but the expectations are consistent. No substances on site at all. It shouldn't be in your purse, shouldn't be anywhere in your pockets. No impaired staff. You cannot do it in the parking lot. You cannot do it in our restrooms. You cannot do it in your classrooms. I thought that was common sense, but I have to say it. Drug-free conduct during operating hours. Childcare licensing system outlines these minimum health and safety requirements to ensure children are protected at all times. Our responsibility is to follow these rules exactly as they're written and to maintain a safe, substance-free environment. If your teacher's doing it and you know about it, you are as much as problematic for that. So when we talk about marijuana and other substances, we are talking about child safety, legal compliance, and professional responsibility. There is absolutely zero flexibility here, and our actions must always reflect the standards requirement by licensing and the trust families place in us. In this section, we're focusing on what our program is responsible for when it comes to maintaining a safe, compliant, and substance-free environment. These responsibilities are not optional. You cannot play favoritism, and they're required by licensing and essential for protecting children, staff, and the integrity of our school. One of our core responsibility is to maintain a completely substance-free facility that includes marijuana, tobacco, alcohol, or other impairing substances. Even medical marijuana is also prohibited on site unless the state rule explicitly allows it. And in early childhood settings, that permission is extremely very rare, so don't even think about it. Our facility must remain safe, clean, and free from any substances that could compromise children's health or staff supervision. Know that parents are supposed to mandate and follow these guidelines as well. If they are not following it, they have some sort of odor lingering with them, there is some sort of substance in their backpack, you're going to have to document that right away. Let your management know of that. Management has to document it and then therefore has to have a sit-down meeting with the parents. Parents are to comply with this policy, and if he or she does not want to do so, or there is another incident of such, we're going to have to report it and expel the child, unfortunately. We must always be clear with our written policies or staff regarding substance use, which will include what is prohibited, what must be reported, how concerns should be documented, and what disciplinary action will be followed. I'm telling you, we will call the legal authorities and have you terminated. These policies protect the program and ensures that every staff member understands exactly what is expected of them, and consistency is the key. Safe storage of medication would be another critical responsibility, which is ensuring that any medication on the premises is stored safely. Make sure there is no any expired medication. Child has already withdrawn from the school. Go ahead and just discard of those medication if you did not give it to them on their last day. Medication must never be accessible to the children, never be left in classroom, bags, or personal belongings. Parents are to submit that at the front desk. They are to fill out a document with your administration, and administrative are the only ones to administer the medication. No other staff member is ever going to be administering any medication at any time. Never be used in a way that could impair supervision to judgment. Safe storage is licensing requirement and non-negotiable part of maintaining a secure environment for our children. So when we talk about program responsibilities, we're talking about the system that keeps our school safe, compliant, and trustworthy. Maintaining a substance-free facility, enforcing clear staff policies, and ensuring proper medication storage are essential part of our commitment to children's well-being and to meeting the licensing standards. Expectations for employees who are also parents. Many of our team members are also parents, and we value that deeply. It gives you insight, empathy, and a personal connection to your work. But it also requires very clear boundaries for you. When you are on the clock, you're here as a professional, not as a parent. These expectations protect children, protect staff, and protect the integrity of the program. Professional boundaries while you are off the clock is very important to know and have. It is never appropriate for you to sit or stay in your child's classroom and just simply hang out while you're off the clock. It is never appropriate to roam in the hallways to peek in your child's classroom or interrupt the flow of the day of your child's classroom. When you're not working or when any employee is not working, you must follow the same expectations as any other parents. No special access to your child's classroom, no classroom visits, and no hallway monitoring. Professional boundaries are very, very important. When you're on the clock, your responsibility is the children assigned to your classroom, not your own child. That means you cannot leave your classroom to go check on your child. You can't ask for a restroom break every 5-10 minutes just so you can go see if he or she is crying. You cannot step out to respond when your child cries. You cannot neglect the children that are in your care to attend to your own child. Your child's teacher is responsible for your child, and you're responsible for the children in your class. Respecting your child's teacher is also very important. It is never okay for you to disrespect her. Should there be a discrepancy, disagreement, or questions that you need to ask as a parent, you should not be correcting her or undermining your child's teacher. If you have any concerns, just like any other parent, bring it to the management. We will investigate and address the situation appropriately, fairly for you. Professionalism means trusting the process and honoring the roles of everyone. No special accommodation will be made just because this is a staff's child. Your child will not be having any discrimination of any kind, therefore will be getting fairly treated just like all children in the classroom. You cannot expect accommodation as a parent if you're not meeting your professional responsibilities as an employee. Policies apply equally to everyone, including staff parents. Fairness and consistency are essential for maintaining trust. Just like any other parent, if an injury is to take place, the neck-up injury will be reported to you in person. All injuries will be documented on incident report for you to attend to at the end of your shift and or lunch break. Expectations before your shift. Before your shift begins, any personal tasks, conversations, restroom use, time in the break room must be done off the clock. Doing these things on the clock is considered riding the clock and is not permitted. If you're clocking in, that means you're ready to work. Simple as that. Lunch with your child. You can spend all the time with your child for your lunch that you want. You absolutely need to do so. But you must follow the parent procedures. Sign your child out. Request for your child to be brought to you just like any other parent during pickup. After lunch, sign them back in and then return them from break on time. This will keep your documentation accurate and outrageous compliance. Because you have to return the child to the classroom, so if your break ends at say 12:30, you need to return your child at 12:15 so you can use the restroom, wash your hands and whatnot, and then sign in at 12:30. Arrival expectations would be similar. Employees who are parents must arrive 15 minutes before their scheduled shift because that 15 minutes is for your child. That important conversation you need to have with your child's teacher. Check your child in just like any other parent. Then you'll take your child to the classroom, communicate any necessary information to the teacher, and after the drop-off is complete, sign in at your scheduled time. So you can't sign in when you're signing your child in. You have to now go sign in yourself for your scheduled shift and then report to work immediately. This will ensure a smooth transition for you, your child, and a professional start of your day. These boundaries are not about limiting you. They're about protecting children, maintaining professionalism, and ensuring fairness across the entire team. When staff who are parents follow these expectations consistently, it strengthens our culture, our compliance, and our trust with families. Personal belongings and classroom safety expectations. We're focusing on something that seems small but has major safety implications. Just the other day, I walked into a classroom of mine here at Montessori, and I had two live wires. I see two live wires just plugged in and just simply on the floor. Teacher had just got done charging whatever the equipment that she was charging and then just forgot completely about it. What do you think the kid's gonna do? One, tripping hazard because it was long and it was lower on the ground on that plug, and then two, they can put it in their mouth and actually get electrocuted. That can turn into a safety concern very quickly. So let's just go ahead and not do that. So know what your to-dos and to-don'ts in your classroom. And to be honest with you, licensing is also very clear. Anything that belongs to us, teachers, management, must be stored and safely kept completely out of children's reach. These expectations protect children and protect staff, maintain staff, organized and learning environment. Keep your personal items. Should you have any medication in your pocket, don't do that. I have seen medication roll out of the pockets before and infants grabbing and holding on to these. And what's the first thing infant does? Puts it in their mouth. And then what's you're going to have? Drug overdose. Don't do that. Do not do that. Do not even take any medication in the classroom. Our classrooms don't even allow medication in the classroom. So have it in your purse, out of the classroom as much as possible, please. Personal items can also quickly become safety hazard if they're left out. That includes bags, keys, drinks, medication, wallets, anything else that you bring into your building. All personal belongings must be stored in a secure designated area, never on the counter, shelves, tables, or anywhere a child could access. If it's yours, it should not be visible or reachable in the classroom. This is a non-negotiable licensing requirement. Cell phone policy is also another licensing requirement. It's simple and strict because it protects the supervision and professionalism. Phones must remain out of sight, which here at our school, we actually collect them in the morning, and then employees can retrieve them during lunchtime and then collect them again, and then during the departure time. This helps them to provide proper supervision free of any distraction. They may also be only used during breaks and away from the classrooms, not even in the hallways and or off the clock in the front of the building. No phones on desks, counters, shelves, or any visible surface in the room. A visible phone is a distraction, a liability, and a violation of licensing expectations. Children deserve our full attention at all times. Mind you, now that we have Apple Watch in place, it includes that as well. So when you are taking more than a second, which is enough for anyone to see the time, you're already considered that you are actually testing on your watch. So please make sure that we know how the watch works. So please try to refrain from having to use that as a distraction, okay? Electrical and classroom safety, again, it's another critical part of maintaining a safe environment. This is why you are not allowed to charge any equipment in your classroom. All electrical cords must be secured and completely out of children's reach. At all possible, try to charge anything and everything outside. Ask your management to help you with that. There should be no exposed, loose, or hanging wires anywhere in the classroom at all times. All plugs should have plug covers. If you notice a damaged cord, outlet, or anything unsafe, report it to the management immediately. These small details will prevent those accidents that you are solely liable for in your classrooms. It'll ensure our classrooms meet the highest safety standards. Keeping your personal items secured, following our cell phone policy, and maintaining the electrical safety are essential part of creating a safe, compliant, and professional environment. When we are intentional about these expectations, we're protecting children. We're maintaining that trust with our families and upholding the standards that define DearOnes schools. Last but not least, teachers. We've covered everything about what all goes on in your classroom, but there's one more thing that goes on in your classroom: gossips. Now, it can be a gossip with a co-teacher, a floater, a substitute, a parent, even management at times is actually the culprit of that. So in this section, we're going to address the behavior that can quietly damage any school's culture, break the trust with families, and violate the legal agreements. Gossiping. Whether it is with other teachers or parents, gossip has no place in our professional early childhood environment, our school. It undermines the teamwork, creates divisions, and puts the program at risk. I myself, as an owner, I can tell you that I go by the book. Whatever I'm doing is in the book. So if you don't like what I do, please make yourself knowledgeable by going over those minimum standards, our policies, our handbooks. They're there for a reason. Okay. I understand if it's not in your favor, you don't like it, but that gives you no right to gossip. Absolutely not. Gossiping with coworkers about other staff, children, or families is unprofessional and harmful. It creates tension, spreads misinformation, and disrupts the positive culture we work very hard to build. If you're not part of the solution, you definitely should not be part of the conversation. Concerns must be brought to management and not whispering among staff. Staff that actually volunteers themselves in listening and giving them that auditory sensory, being available for them to gossip to, is also part of the problem. Gossiping with parents is even more damaging. It violates the confidentiality and destroys the trust and can escalate into serious licensing and legal issues for you because you're the one gossiping. Parents should never hear staff discussing other children, other families, staff conflicts, whether it's your management or your co-teacher. Internal issues, classroom concerns unrelated to their child. Your role is to represent your school professionally as contracted, not to share opinions, your frustration because you were written up yesterday for something that you yourself were not responsible about, or private information of anyone. Legal reminders, guys. I am telling you, you guys all have signed non-compete and confidentiality agreement drawn by my lawyers. All employees have signed this. It is a legally binding agreement. Please take this very seriously, okay? Sadly, I had to do that because sometimes we think that we're not doing anything harmful, but it actually creates more of a situation for a small business. This contract includes confidentiality expectations that prohibits for you to share any internal information, whether positive, negative, disagreements, anything, discussing staff matters, or disclosing anything that could harm the school's reputation or operations. Gossiping, whether with staff or parents, can violate the agreement and lead to disciplinary action up to and including termination and possible lawsuit. What to do instead? When you have a concern or frustration or question, the correct path is simple. Bring it directly to management. If you have the rights that you feel like you can talk behind somebody's back, talk to their face. More than anything, you'll probably find a solution to the problem and live better, breathe better. But you're talking behind back, the problem is still there. And you're the one with that negative vibe then. So do something about it. Be professional about it, and the person across from you has to be professional when listening to your problem, your concerns. Allow leadership to investigate. Avoid discussing it with anyone who is not part of the solution. Professional communication protects you, protects the school, and protects the children we serve. Speaking negative about somebody does not make that person look bad. It makes you look bad because you are in the wrong. You're gossiping. You're the one not addressing it to the correct source. Gossip is not harmless. It is destructive, unprofessional, and legally risky for the person starting it, person who's participating in it. By maintaining confidentiality, honoring your non-compete agreement, and communicating concerns through the proper channels, you will help yourself staying out of trouble and create a culture of trust, respect, and professionalism at DearOnes School. Parent-staff boundaries. No gossiping. Know that this will be shared with parents as well. So after this, whatever happens, we will go back to our second statement in this presentation and we'll go from there. Gossiping with staff is not permitted. Parents may not engage staff in conversation about other children, families, or internal school matters. If they're asking you, it is totally and solely up to you to stop that. Should you participate in that, both of you are on your own and we can only go from there. Staff are not allowed to discuss classroom issues, employees' concerns, or confidential information with any parents, regardless of what the situation might be. Gossip creates misinformation, damages trust, and disrupts the professional environment. Therefore, you will be held responsible for that. Respecting confidentiality, where all information about children, families, and staff is confidential. Parents will only discuss matters related to their own child. Staff are required to redirect any inappropriate conversations to administration. Legal reminder, guys, okay? All employees, again, one more time, you have signed a legally binding non-compete and confidentiality agreement, and it prohibits you from sharing internal information, whether you agree or not, for participating in gossip with parents. Parent attempting to involve staff in gossip will place you as an employee at risk of violating that contract. Proper communication channels where concerns about staff, classrooms, or other families must be brought directly to administration. Staffs are not permitted to engage in or respond to gossip. Administration will investigate concerns professionally and confidentiality. Gossiping with staff is not permitted. I'm telling you that all confidential information is respectfully needs to be followed as such. Important clarification, if a staff member is gossiping about management, it is typically due to your own personal issues that you need to sort out, not factual concerns. We management maintain a full documentation to protect the school's integrity that you probably don't even know about, and will not hesitate to clarify those facts and share them with parents, and if necessary, legal authorities can be shared that information as well to protect the program's reputation. Parents who participate in or encourage gossip place themselves outside the professional boundaries of the school community. Concerns can be brought directly to administration and not to staff. You speaking with a staff member about a concern is not going to get you nowhere. Just directly speak with the administration. Now, if you are not happy with the outcome or the response that you're getting, you're an adult. Not all the answers that you're going to ask the questions are going to be yes. So please know, adapt, and move on. That is all that needs to be. All right, we made it to the end, guys. So today we learned about TRS, NAC, Texas licensing, and even the CLI Engage curriculum expectation in your classroom. We emphasized and went in depth with the classroom expectation per our policy and some of the standards, including a healthy environment for all to work in, which includes gossiping. Anything and everything that relates to the parents will be shared with them as well. So know that the gossiping, the curriculum, all of those things will be shared. The use of substances will be shared with the parents, and their expectation will be shared with them. Should any of the expectations not met by both staff and parents, we will, as a management, take actions accordingly. We try our very best to maintain a drama-free and operate a transparency, documentation, and professionalism kind of an entity. And together we can all actually uphold a culture of respect, accountability, and excellence. I myself, as an adult, don't like sometimes when the answer is no for me. But at the end of the day, it's not in my hand. Not everything is in my hand. And sometimes the acceptance to that will bring me, myself, a lot of peace. So know that you need to do your part in being an adult every day and daily and thereafter.